In 2022, I produced this shoot for Playboy Online, and I want to tell you about it. The inspiration for me was that I wanted to revisit Huntington Beach and do a shoot next to the pier because it was somewhere I spent a lot of time as a child and that I had recurring nightmares about. I used to have a dream where I was at the end of the pier and the pier burned down, leaving me to stand on one of the pylons. And I had that dream now, I know, because of how trapped I felt when I would stay at my grandmother's home, which was in Seal Beach, and we would go to the Huntington Beach Pier. My family ended up in Southern California because my parents went to go take care of both of their mothers, and my grandmother ended up there because she had been sent to the military base in Tustin with her partner, who was her husband at the time, who was a Marine. And anyway, this shoot was really special to me for that reason. It was about narrative portraiture. It was about conveying an emotion. And I was fortunate to work with the artist B. Vanian, who you see here. This was shot by Sergio Bruce de la Torre, and I think that this really illustrates one of the elements of the piece that was important to me, which is that difficulty with internal struggles happens in broad daylight. Domestic violence happens in broad daylight, and we are all just interacting on completely different dimensions from our peers in our community. I practiced this. This was shot by me. I practiced this with B, who is an incredible model, the day before. We met and we practiced this position in a closed environment indoors so that we could communicate well once they were out in the waves. I also shot this on a 35 millimeter, and it goes back to that theme of you can be facing the harshest mistress there is, the ocean, about to completely overwhelm you, and someone else can be existing in the same time and place, living a completely different life experience there. It also references me growing up with an uncle who was a large wave rider. He rode 100-foot waves, and spending time with him while he was surfing was also foundational to this location really imprinting on my psyche. But it also gives a thrill to anyone who enjoys recreational bondage, which is a pastime, a fascination, a particular type of performing art in and of itself. So it also juxtaposes that big wave riding, that seeking of adrenaline and risky experiences with a mitigated safety plan, and bondage, which is very similar. Being in a hog tie with waves washing over you is a quite terrifying prospect if you've ever actually been under a wave and felt how powerful that it is. I have memories of being on the front of my uncle's longboard and falling off, and knowing that what I needed to do was not try to come back up to the surface until after the wave had passed, because he taught me that. He taught me if you go under, stay under, because if you come up, you're going to get hit by the surfboard. Here you see Inamorata. Nat is an incredible photographer who I brought along because she is not only a consummate fetish and recreational bondage photographer because of her inside knowledge of the community and her consent practices, but also I really appreciate her technical skill. She was a wildlife photographer prior to doing this type of photography. She is used to taking pictures of wild animals. So, of course, she's going to get the shot. I was like, we're not going to do all of this and not get the shot. And I knew that her work would also be well suited for fans' expectations of a Playboy shoot. So I knew that with Nat by our side, we would not be wasting all of this effort. I'm really happy with the work that I made, but I'm just conscious of the fact that a 35 millimeter shot that is more centered around my emotional inner landscape and the feats of emotional ability and physical ability that the model is portraying are not necessarily the same. They're not going to have the same impact to an audience who is looking on a screen. So that's something people don't realize about photography as well, is that the way our eyes respond to the screen glowing out at us versus the light refracting off of pigments on paper is very different. So for digital photography, I really wanted Nat's perspective, and we see that here. So this is the shot that I really wanted to get in from Inamorata's style. And I am so impressed with B's ability to do this stunt with me. We had fun, as you can see here. I think the whole shoot out on the beach was less than a couple of hours because we had prepared the day before and established our communication. We were able to just move through this stunt and performance in a really fluid way as a team. And we also had a very small team. So this is another one that's shot by Sergio. And Sergio Bruce de la Torre is a photographer and a skateboard and street photographer in the South Bay of Los Angeles area. So like Long Beach, San Pedro, Huntington Beach, Orange County, and such a sweet human being who really I trust with our queer hearts, because that's what we're doing. We're putting our queer hearts on our sleeve when we're making this kind of art. And so it was wonderful to have him on set. He's just an incredible artist, but a really good team member. So it was just the four of us running around on the beach, and really we knew in advance our priority was safety and comfort, and our priority was B's voice and comfort. So we talked through every move we made, and this was not some kind of, dominance and submission kind of vibe on the set. Like, let's be real. We were making art together and seeing what could we do with our cool and beautiful bodies as artists. And this was the shot that was in my head. And that's the thing, taking an image in my head and making it into reality with people who are safe and caring has been an integral part of my personal healing process. And that's where self-expression can help you move a thought from internal to external and connect you with all of the other people who then go, wow, I've thought about that too. Or I've completely felt that emotion too. I've felt that need to surrender when you don't have a choice, and you may surrender physically, but that wave that is rushing over you is going to eventually subside and pull back, and you will be able to breathe again. So this kind of bravery is, I think, very present in this photo.